Welcome back to my channel. It's Candace with a K here, where I normally talk books, beauty, and kicks. Today I am giving my review of Zakiya Dalila Harris's The Other Black Girl. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on this debut novel, please keep watching. Also, towards the end, I am going to give spoilers. I will let you know when those spoilers are happening. But first, we're going to get into a very brief summary, or rather, I'll read it, okay? So, 26-year-old editorial assistant Nella Rogers is pretty tired of being the only Black girl at Wagner Books. So, of course, she's excited when Hazel Mae McCall starts working in the cubicle beside hers. Born and raised in Harlem, Hazel exudes the confidence and charm that Nella has never quite possessed. But they've only just started swapping emails and natural hair care regimens when a string of unsettling events caused Nella to become public enemy number one and Hazel the office darling. And then the notes start to appear on Nella's desk. Leave Wagner now. Nella can't believe that Hazel's been leaving the notes despite her cruel code switching and competitive vibes. The new Black girl doesn't seem that hostile. But as Nella begins to spiral, obsess, and ultimately uncover the sinister forces at play, she risks losing much more than her career. The stakes are higher than she could have imagined, far beyond P&Ls and promotions. Propulsive, dark, funny, and endlessly surprising, The Other Black Girl is a whip-smart commentary on diversity in the workplace. It brims the cringy, all-too-real struggles of being a Black woman in a large white industry, who also will resonate with anyone who's ever felt manipulated or outmaneuvered, threatened, or overlooked. As disturbing as it is tender, this is a novel that questions the silence we trade for success and asks, in the end, whether that sacrifice can ever truly be worth it. Okay, so Zakiya Dalila Harris is giving us her debut. So this is just the book cover. The book is in the other room. But first, let's talk about the book cover. This is what drew me into the book. Okay, so it is a Black woman's face, all her hair. Something about the vibrancy of the blue with the hair, with the Afro pick, is what drew me into the book. I had no idea what this book was about when I was reading it. I didn't even read any blurbs about it. I just saw The Other Black Girl and was like, okay, I'm reading it. There was no questions, no concerns, no, let me at least read a review, let me see what's tea. None of that. I literally saw the cover, loved it, bought the book, and read it. And so here, or henceforth, is now my review of the book. So if you have not read it, read it, come back, let's discuss in the comments. If you read it, or if you want spoilers or insights into my opinion about this book, here's your chance to keep watching. Okay, so I wanted to like this book, and not that I hated it, but my expectations of this book were just different. Let me start there. Like I previously said, I had no idea what this book was going to be about. Did not know what was going to happen. So when I thought it was going to be The Other Black Girl, I thought it was going to be like how it started, but better. And yeah, so Nella Rogers is working at this publishing company. She's the only Black woman in the office. So she's feeling the microaggressions. She's doing her part in speaking up by holding diversity town halls, by talking to the people in charge. The reason why she started working at this publishing house to begin with, is because one of her publishing idols, editor idols, also worked there, but had completely vanished. And so I was hoping that the connection between the two, the woman that vanished, Kendra Ray Phillips, and Nella Rogers, was a little bit stronger. But it just didn't do that for me. I do not think it was a bad book, but here are some things that I just wish had been better. First, I felt as though it took nearly 300 pages for the story to begin to pick up at a quicker pace. I'm all for setting the scene. I'm all for getting an understanding of the characters, getting the background. But in a book that is only 360 something pages, if it takes 300 of those pages for me to get the ball rolling, then there's some type of mishap there. There's some type of disconnect. There's somewhere where we could have done better. What I didn't like initially, but appreciated towards the end of the book, was the way in which Zakiya would kind of go on her written tangents. So she'll be talking about an incident that Nella experienced, and then Nella would reference something that happened previously, and then she'll bring it back to present. And so reading that, I kind of was like, I don't know if I really like this writing style. But I started to like it the more I kept reading. So that didn't really bother me, but I think it could have just been better. My total biggest gripe with the book is that they used hair and hair care as a device in which Black women were being controlled. And that's problematic for me, only because hair is such a contentious site of all kinds of things for Black women. And I get what she was trying to do. I get the whole like social lubricant idea, but grease is important to Black women and Black hair. And the idea that grease is now going to be used to control us into being white appeasing is like, huh? Like, you want me to grease up my scalp so I could please these crackers? What? Like, it's just, I didn't really care for that aspect of it. They could have really done anything. Like, I just think hair is just a real fine line to navigate, and I'm not certain that I appreciated that aspect. I also felt like there was no real ending to this book, so to speak. So what happens with Hazel? What happens with Richard? I know their spot didn't get blown up by Nella when she could have and was about to, and then she was kind of stopped again. But like, okay, we just went through 360 pages to end up really nowhere. Like we went nowhere. Like I said, I didn't dislike the book. So in my opinion, I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. I do think that it had the potential to get me to like falling in love with the story. I do like Nella as a character. I love her best friend. Like, if we could get a full-blown rundown of Malika, however the pronunciation is, I'm here for it. I was also really unsure of what the interracial dating aspect played into the character. Was she supposed to be more susceptible to being white passing because she was also dating a white man? Or like, did that make her more of a target? I might have missed that because life is happening as well as me trying to read this book. But I don't think I remember reading a clear connection between her white boyfriend and her relevant to the story. Maybe I missed a clue in there somewhere. But I'm not thinking of anything. My advice is for you to still read it because this helps to create a dialogue about the book. I know that this is one of the most anticipated books of this year. Like I said, the cover is what grabs me. The cover is just so beautiful. I am going to be donating this book probably to my local Goodwill or to someone else that wants to read it, like a pass along type of thing. But I encourage her to read. I encourage you or everybody else to read it because this is her debut novel. And I think she came out with something that it's something I personally have never considered, how, especially being an avid book reader, the lack of diversity that may be existing within publishing houses, and who's privileging which stories over whom else's stories, things like that, that never really have crossed my mind prior to reading this and really starting to think like, okay, these editors, there's some bias that also hits our bookshelves, you know, like that is also in itself kind of crazy. But nonetheless, that is my review. I know I'm missing things. It was kind of like a slow climb to get through this book. It took me about 2 weeks, which is longer than normal to finish a book, but here we are. And so, yeah, if you have read it, please tell me your opinion in the comments, and so we could talk about it. All right, peace. See you in my next video.